I'm Joshua Bardwell, here for Armattan Quads, and today I'm going to teach you how to bind your Spektrum satellite receiver with your Spektrum radio. Binding refers to the process of telling your receiver that it should listen to your radio. It's how, when you're out at the field with 17 other people, your quadcopter knows to listen to your transmitter and not anybody else's. Anytime you get a new receiver, you need to bind it to your radio. The first way to bind your satellite receiver involves using your flight controller. This is nice because everybody's got a flight controller, but not all flight controllers support the ability to do this. In that case, the workaround is to use a full Spektrum receiver, and here's how to do that. You're going to need a full Spektrum receiver with a satellite port. Now, this is the Spektrum AR8000. It's a $120 receiver, and I don't recommend you buy it, just so you can bind your satellite. The Lemon LM0027 is about 15 bucks, and it can be used to do this exact same thing. This just happens to be the one that I have laying around. You're going to plug the satellite receiver into the satellite port on the main receiver, and then you're going to put the main receiver into bind mode, and the way you're going to do that is using this little bind plug that came with it. There will be a pin on the receiver that is labeled the bind pin, and when you plug this bind plug into the bind pin, when you power the receiver, it will go into binding mode. In order to power the receiver, you're going to need to give it, the safest thing to do is to give it 5 volts. Different receivers will have different power capabilities, but you're going to need to find a source of 5 volts. If you have a single cell LiPo that's putting out 4.2 volts, that'll do the job. You just need to have a servo connector connected on the end, or I'm going to use a battery that I have laying around that I know will work. You can also use a BEC if you have any ESCs with BECs on them with a 5 volt output. There are various ways to get 5 volts, and you just need to figure out which one's going to work for you. Now I've powered the receiver, and you can see that these lights are flashing rapidly, indicating that both of these guys are in bind mode. Now I'll take my DX6E, click the scroll wheel, and scroll down to System Setup. Yes, I'm sure. Bind. Bind. Now the LEDs have gone solid, indicating that the bind was successful. At this point, you can take your satellite off. It's ready to go. It will still be bound to the transmitter when you put it in your quadcopter and go to fly. Now, when you go to the receiver tab, you should see the channels moving when you wiggle the sticks on your transmitter. Congratulations, your receiver's bound and you're ready to go.